Okay, good day everyone, and welcome to Architect Guide. Right, so we are on module two, day two of Archicad beginners to advanced level training. Right, so if you're just joining us for the first time, right, so my name is Bright Gira. Right, so I'll be a host for today's class. So if there's any question, please feel free to comment in the comment section, and I'll reply and go back to make it much more clearer. Right, so let's dive right in. So I'll display my material for today so that we can actually see and observe the fact we are on the same page. So now we are going to be talking about core modeling skills today. So core modeling skills we're going to talk about today. So we have at the end of today, right, students will learn how to model basic architectural elements correctly. Right, so we're talking about the walls, the slabs, the columns and beams, right? And then we have the doors and windows, then basic stairs and roofs. Right? So and then we have our assignment, right? So I have an assignment that we'll work on. So I believe we did the previous day's assignment. So I would like to see that in the comment section also below. Okay, so please feel free to let me know what the challenge is, like I said earlier. Right, so now we are going to go down to Archicad, right? So while I'm working, right, what I would like to tell you now is that it is very, very easier or very much important that while I'm working, I'm clicking on the tools, right? So you should be also practicing or doing the same thing. It's better when you have your phone, right? Your phone and you're watching with the descriptions on the phone, and then you're doing it, practicalizing on on Archicad, right, by yourself, right? So while the is going on, right? So sorry, right. So yeah, just give me a minute, please. So you can start. Thank you. Okay, so right. So we have it together. Right. So now let's go down to Archicad. Right. Let's go down to Archicad and see to begin our discussion for today. Right. Like I said earlier, please feel free to let me know if there's any challenge that you are experiencing as we proceed. Okay. So let me share something else. Okay, I think I should do this instead. I should do this instead. Window and go to Archicad now. I'm going to open this one. All right, so I have here Archicad, right? So we have our Archicad here currently, right? So please stay with me. So if there's any question, any challenge you're having, please, I would like to know what the challenge is. Okay, I would like to know what the challenge is as we proceed, right? So for I think we tool, I didn't really get the name, although I can still check, right? So let's go down to our wall tool and see what we have on the wall tool. So now, like I said earlier, for every tool we click on this toolbar on our left, right? So it appears the settings for that particular toolbar appears on the top corner under the this menu options, right? So your Archicad setup might not be like this because I actually added some of these tools, right? So now your Archicad setup might not be like this. So if you look at this properly, you see that we have the wall tool. So I'm currently on the wall tool now. I'm currently on the wall tool, right? And like I said earlier, yesterday where we started, we have the Enscape um, library, have the Enscape tool by our left side because I've actually installed Enscape. So it's a plugin inside of Archicad. And so after I finish working, you can actually quickly go down and check it. So now there are several things before we begin any particular project at all, like as a beginner, right? So as a fresher, right? Before you begin any particular project, there are some things I would like you to note, to take note of. And I mentioned those things yesterday. If you followed up the class yesterday. So one of the things is the firstly is your unit, your drawing unit. Secondly, your scale. So let's go down to document, go down to document and we'll check on floor plan scale. Right, so now we click on and we select scale. One is 100. You make sure that it's on scale. One is 100. So if you are going to print out a project, right, to ensure okay, you check out the paper size and then use your scale rule. You have a scale rule and you can actually use to measure the paper size and see if the scale you are using on your Archicad will actually enable you to print out the document. Are we together? Right. So now I'll click on OK because it is okay. Right, so now the next thing is I want to know is if I'm doing a working drawing, right? I'll actually want to set up my pen weight. Right. So let me go down to pen weight and I'll show us how to set pens and colors, pen weight in Archicad. Right, so I click on this and this pop-up menu will appear now. So I can actually choose to use site, right, or detailing or structural, right. If I click on it, it changes the pen colors and the pen size, and we have electrical. We have electrical is more of black. We have mechanical. We have Archicad 19. So we have much of these colors and all that. But then I just clicked on the architectural 100. So for these, I'm going to do a default, right. So once I click on any of these particular small boxes here, any of these colors, right, it will highlight and you see the pen width. This is where you have the pen width displayed, right. Are we together? So if there's any question, please notify me by letting me know that so I can go back again. Okay, so we have we have this here. So you can actually click, once I click on this, it selects the pen width. So now I can now edit this pen width to be 0.7. I like using 0. For my floor plan, I like using 0.7. For my walls, 0.7, 0.7 as my wall thickness, and I make use of black. Because of this training, I'll make use of black as my um, pen color. You can actually choose any color from here, and then you can work with that. So I choose black, and I'll go down to the second one, and I'll make it points. Let me make it 0.5, 0.5, and I click here. So I go down to the next color, and I actually make it 0.3, 0.3. Right. So I want to work with just those three tools, right. So now and then I can click on. So when I began to edit it, you see it changed from architectural to custom, right. So that it means you are actually customizing the pen you are working with. All right. So now we're going to click OK. Right. So now I can now go down. So now we want to start our drawing now. So please, if there's any question, please let me know in the comment section on our group chat that we have going on. All right. So right. So we have these started out here. So now let's go on and then we'll do a particular a brief drawing, right? A brief drawing. So now because now we from our outline we notice we are going to talk about walls, we're going to talk about slab, we're going to talk about windows, and we're going to talk about doors, and then we're going to talk about roof. So we're going to create a floor plan now, a mini floor plan. Just let's say 1 bedroom, right? So I'll just use 1 bedroom as my ID floor plan that I want to make use of. All right, so now before you can actually begin to draw, so let's zoom in. So now we have this box, it comes in by default, right? So now I usually like drawing inside here. So from here I can just go down to the elevation, but then you can remove all these lines and then put it back later on while you want to begin to use do elevations, right? Even section and all that. So you can add them. But then I usually like drawing inside of these boxes. Okay. So this box, which is if you look here, is elevation, east elevation. We have the south elevation. We have west elevation, and then we have the north elevation, right? So these are the four cardinal points, or you can say front, back, left, right elevations, right? So now let's go and click. Let's go to before you begin to use any tool, right? Like I said, you actually have to check the settings. Check the settings, right? So after you've finished, you've checked your scale, right? You have checked your pen weight, right? You have checked your unit, your drawing unit, right? So like we talked about the other time, whereby you can actually go down to, I think this is option here. You go down to options and then elements attributes. Now you come down to no, this is not okay. All right, so you I think it should be around this. No. Yeah, so whereby you actually check your drawing. Okay, this should be this is okay. Yeah, project preferences, options, yeah, options. So now you can actually click on this working unit. So let me click on working unit and see the unit I'm working. So now for now I'm using millimeter for my measurement, right? Millimeter, right? You can actually change it to centimeter or meter, as the case may be, depending on how you want your dimensions to look on your working drawing, or even your detail as an interior designer or an architect, right? So let's go down to we have that set, right? So before I'll click on this wall and then I'll go down to this settings dialog, the settings dialog above here, right under this default settings, and I click on the box just once, just click on it just once, and this dialog box opens, right, whereby you see geometry and positioning, you have project offset, modifiers, floor plan and section, you have model, right? So I'll just go back on brief on each of these ones that are very much important that we can actually use often. Okay, so now the first one we usually use is the geometry and positioning. That one is very, very important because here you can choose the wall height, the width, the block wall, the width of it, and then you can actually choose how you can edit the height of the wall or whatever kind of wall you want to make it of. So now the first thing is top link, right? You click on top link and then you click on not linked, right? Not linked. I usually click on not linked. Why? So that I can actually edit. Let me show you what happens. So it means I want to now add. So this is three. The default wall height to be 3,000. Then I now add 300 on top of it. Right? But what I usually do, right? That not linked. What I usually do most times, I usually make use of not linked, and then I change it to 3,300 as the wall height. So from ground level is 0. As now here we have three different wall types. So this is complex profile walls. If you will talk about complex profile later on this particular training. So when you select you made a design, or you made a shape on complex profile, you can actually click on this complex profile here and then come to custom, and you see the complex profile you did on this particular tool here. But now we are not making use of the complex profile because we have not done any one. It's not a facial or a thin wall or something like that that want to project out, even a concrete facial also, right? You can actually see do on the complex profile. Right, so now let's go down to we are clicking, we're making use of the first one, which is like a generic structure, right? For me, I usually like using the airspace, the frame, right? Airspace. So now these are like different types of walls. Insulation, there is concrete walls, there is brick finish to what's it called? You are working according to specification. You have all those details as you are doing your project, either in school or you're doing it for a client, right? So, but now I usually make use of this airspace because I like it. The I don't want to make it colored, right? So I'll click on this airspace for now. Let me click on airspace afterwards. So now here you can check seeing the wall thickness, right? Are we together? You can change the wall thickness from this particular point. Please feel free to ask a question so I can come back and then explain it much more better if you don't understand. Right. So yes, we can actually change our wall thickness here from this is 300 as default, but then I usually make use of either 150 millimeters for a small a bungalow, or a 225 block wall for the wall thickness, right? So that since we are doing a bungalow, let's make use of 150 millimeter. We type in 150 millimeter here. Right, so now while you're working, right, this is the thing. You have your right hand. If you're, I don't know if you're left board, right? So, but then if you have your right hand on your mouse, and then your left hand is also working too on your keyboard, right? So now it's easier for you to work faster that way because while you're doing it, you're understanding shortcuts, then you're working faster. Okay, so this is where you set these ones, and then let's go down to these ones. We don't usually use this profile offset modifiers. Right, so let's go down to the next. We are done with this geometry and positioning. Right, the next thing we go down to is floor plan section, floor plan and sections. Now this area, right, this area affects everything, the 3D and the floor section area. But then on the floor plan and section, this only affects either your elevation, is affecting your elevation. Changes you make here can affect your elevations and your floor plan, this floor plan layout area here. So you can actually change the wall thickness, the wall um, the color, the projection, if that is a projector. So now we have, so the first thing to look out for is this floor plan display. So right, so now the show on stories. So this what show on stories means is that it can actually is it that this floor, whatever you're drawing on this particular layout here, the ground layout, will show on different layers, right? So if you go to your first floor, you see the outline of that particular wall you did on the ground floor showing on the first floor. Right. So now what you want to do now here is to remove it from all relevant stories and then place it on home story only. So now you want the floor plan you're going to draw, the wall you're going to draw to show on only your home story, only this particular point where you are seeing it, except you are tracing, right? So but we're going to talk about that later on, right? So now let's proceed. So now we go down to floor plan. Okay, so let's click on home story only. We clicked on that. So now next setting you want to work on is the floor plan display. Floor plan display. So now let's click on floor plan display, and then instead of using projected, right? So you're using symbolic cut. Symbolic cut. So what this means is like you are viewing a section, right? You're viewing a section. So now how you view the section is probably when you have the window sill, right, and then you're having the half of the, so it's just like floor plan is just like you cutting through the center part of the building. That's what the floor plan means, right? So you're seeing it from that bottom, that center part downwards. You're seeing a plan. So if you have furniture inside there, they will show on plan, right? So that's what it actually means. So let's use symbolic cuts here, and then for these particular lines, remember we set our pen widths, right? So now on these cut surfaces, we can actually see different line types. If you want to make use of any type of line here, but then usually make use of straight lines for the block walls. I usually make use of straight lines for block walls. Right, so now you can actually make use of either for the straight lines, for solid the cut lines, you're making use of straight lines. Then for cut line pen, right, we have 3.0.35 millimeter here. So now I'm going to click on this colored, this black here, and then to show me the pen width that I set earlier. So now we have this one I choose 0.7 millimeter, and we have the 0.5 millimeter, and we have the 0.3 millimeter. So now we're going to make use of 0.7 millimeter. 0.7 millimeter. I believe you can hear me clearly. Let's click on 0.7 millimeter, and then that's all for now. And so now let's go down to model. Let's go down to model. So on model, you can actually choose the color of the wall, the color of the wall. Probably if it's the material you want to use. So now look at this. Now it's not highlighted, right? But then because I've not clicked here, so there is outside surface. You have different surfaces to that wall. For let me use this my file. Okay, I have a my file here. So I have this my file here as my block wall, for example. So now this is a surface. This other area is a surface. This other particular area is a surface, and then this other particular area is a surface. Right, so now for these three different surfaces you see here, override surface. So now the first one is outside surface. Right, so now the wall surface that is going outside, that you're going to see outside, that is this particular point. This other second one is the edge of the wall, the 150 millimeter edge. And then the third layer, the third surface is the inside surface, right? So now there's the outer part, then there's the inside part, right? So that you can actually choose to have these different surfaces on different colors, right? So where we have, let's see the inside surface. Let's click on it. Let's highlight it now. It's showing us, it's giving us the ability to now edit it. Right? If I click on this particular stucco, there's stucco white rough, right? So what I do, it shows me different colors for paints, right? Different colors of paints, and then there are different types of material textures, right? There's brick texture, there's carpet, floors, and all these other aspects that I can use to now choose the wall type. So what I usually do most times is that I put it off, right? Are we together? I put it off for the meantime, right? So until I'm done with my model, until I finish doing my model, that's when I begin to now add the colors, add the paint to the walls, the building walls, right? So that's when I begin to do that. Okay, so let's continue. Right, so I'm going to leave it now. So like I said, if you want to select, you can actually select all of them. You can actually connect all of them together, link all surfaces together. So while you're editing one, it's affecting every other thing. Or I can unlink surfaces together, and then I can unhighlight them, right? So I unhighlight them. So now that is what you want to actually set before you do your start doing your drawing your wall rather. So let's go down. I have a plan that I'm working with here just to the whole thing straight, right? So this is the wall. It's already selected. So now let's click here, and then we begin to draw, right? So now for the first, let me say, let's do self-contained. Let's do self-contained. So I have this as 5.1 millimeters. So now, if you look at this clearly, what happens is my hand is on the keyboard, is on shift. I hold shift. If I remove my hand from the shift, it will be anyway. But then if I hold shift, if I click on the wall and it's highlighted, and I hold shift, what happens is it won't change direction. It won't change direction. I can move my mouse anyhow, it won't change. So I can now, for me to now type in my distance, right? See my distance here, which is showing 2.1 here. I can actually edit my distance, and I click enter, it will just go by itself, right? So let me, I hold shift and then click on arrow, shift plus arrow, right? Shift plus arrow, and then I can remove my hands. See, my hands are off now. So even if I touch my mouse and I move it, it won't move again until I enter my distance, right? So let me enter my distance of 5.1 meters. That's 5,100 millimeter, 5,100 millimeter, and I click on, after typing that 5,100 millimeter, right? I click on enter, right? So it goes down to that particular distance, right? I go down again, and I edit, and I go to make use of 3.9, right? Shift arrow. So like again, like I said, shift arrow, and it now typing distance 3,900 millimeter. Click on enter, right? And I go again, click on the surface, and I highlight. I can actually align it to the first wall I did here, which is 5.1. Since it's equal, I can click, right? So, and I can continue, can connect the wall together. But what I usually do most times is I begin to offset to add other spaces, right? So now I want to add other spaces to this particular space. So what I do now from here is I want to add the spaces on this other part. Now this is the living room, right? So now what I'll do is to extend these two walls. Extend. I can actually choose after highlighting them. What I did to highlight it, right, was to just hold on shift, right, and now the arrow will come up. This is the arrow. Now I can actually click on arrow, and then I highlight this one, and I hold shift, right? If I hold shift, I can highlight on multiple objects at the same time. So when I click on one, if I've already highlighted an object, I can hold shift, and I continue to highlight every part of the object, every other object in that space. But if I want to highlight everything, I can still use arrow, right? Arrow to highlight everything here. And so let's continue on the wall. Right, so now I'll highlight this one and highlight this. So what I'll do, instead of now going back to um, draw, let's say drag this out, click on this node and drag it out. Right, what I usually do most times is you have a shortcut for doing that particular aspect. You have a shortcut for doing that particular aspect. So I'm not seeing it because of my camera. So just give me a minute. Okay, it's not showing here. I've not added that to on my window yet. Right, so let me go back and see which one was it. Okay. I think it should be this particular aspect. Oh, it's not this one. So I'll check that out again, and I'll let us know by tomorrow. So now what we can actually do now is to we can actually highlight both of them, right? And then we drag it out. We drag it out for about let's say 3,000. Shift and arrow. Click on shift arrow. 3,000. Enter, then click enter. So it stops right there. So the same thing, you can actually do the same thing for this one, and then align it to this part. Right, so now we have this coming out. So then what I'll do now is to take this one and I'll set it Control D. So Control D is to drag, right? So usually it's most likely the same for most softwares when it comes to architectural drawings and rendering. So I Control D, so I click on Control D, and then I'll click on Control again. So now that will show a plus sign. You see a plus sign underneath. What happens? That's dragging a copy. If I'm clicking Control D, I'll drag that particular object. Control D will drag that particular object. Let me say Control D. I'll drag that particular object. Right, so it won't duplicate. But then click on Control D, and then click on Control. After that, it will now show a plus sign for me to now um, drag a copy. So I'll drag a particular copy. I'll drag a copy. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Drag copy, and then I'll add it to 150, and then I drag it again. Usually very faster when I'm doing it. Apart from this point here, I'm doing here. So and I click on Shift arrow. Let me say I want to make use of this the corridor here as 1.5, 1500 millimeter. And I click Enter. Right. So we have that come in. Right, so I'll extend this particular walls, extend this particular head, highlight it, and I drag it down to the top. Highlight this particular one, and I drag it. I can actually still join these both together with that particular tool I'm talking about, but I've not yet. We're already moving now, so I'll still show that in the later part of the video. The next class we'll be having, right? So I'll drag this down and I'll click together, right? So it's connected, right? So what I'll do now is to now drag this out, Control D, drag a copy, and then Control again, drag copy. So I will now click 150, and I click Control D. This time I want to drag just that particular copy, not dragging a copy. So let's use 1.5, 1500 millimeter space here. So click on Enter. Right, so I have that coming now. So I have this as my space example. Let me add 300 a little bit. Let me add 300 to this so it makes it a little bigger. So 300, shift arrow, 300. Okay, right. So that's okay for me. Let's work with that for now. Right. So I will reduce this backwards. So now this aspect, this is my entrance. This is the bedroom, right? And this is the self-con. So now we have the two spaces here. So let me move this one. So there's other options that other thing tools that you can actually use. Control E. There is Control E for you to now rotate an object. To rotate an object, use Control E. So now let's drag this first and take it downwards. From Control D, and then Control again to drag it down first, and then Control D down. Let's use this as 1.8. 1.8. So shift arrow, 1800 millimeter. Right, so now that is okay. So I'll click on to cut. I want to cut this particular wall because it's affecting my work. So I can actually click on Control. So when I click on Control, I hold Control, click and hold Control. It will bring out this scissor icon. Right, the scissor will pop up here. So I can actually click on this particular wall and it cuts. Right, so now I have that showing there. So let me duplicate this wall and I add it up here. Sorry, there was a mistake. Control D, then Control, and then I add it 150. That's offsetting it out. So and then I go down again, and I have the space between my bathroom and then the toilet, or the kitchen. Bathroom and the kitchen is let's make use of 1200 millimeter. Shift arrow, 1200 millimeter. Right. So now that is what you have there. So click on Enter. Right, so it comes up. So now looking at it, so proportionally, this the size of the kitchen is much bigger than the size of the toilet. So let's drag it upward a little bit, right? So we are going to add 300, 300 to our tool here, 300 to the toilet. Right? So let's go down 300, Control D, and then we add 300, right? So Control D, and then this is 300. So type in 300 millimeter, Enter. Right, so that's all. So there we have it. We have our floor plan. So for the purpose of this, let's label this plan. Let's label this plan, and then we'll call it. Give them names. These spaces. Let's label the spaces, right? So we can actually see it clearly and understand what it is. Let's give a minute, please. Right. So all right. So we have this. Okay, let me reply to this man. How do I put it? Okay. Okay, give me a minute, please. I'm with you. All right, I'm with you. Please give me a minute. All right, so give me a minute, please. I'm with you.